So let me ask you, do you have a habit that you'd like to change or eliminate? Who has a habit they'd like to change or eliminate? Who has a habit they'd like to take up? A healthier way of being or behaving or doing or whatever. Okay, good. Then this lesson is for you. People always come through the line, shake my hand and said, "Oh, you wrote that just for me. You have a video camera in my home." No, I don't. It's universal consciousness. James Allen wrote in As a Man Thinketh, "Man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild." Can you just picture, you can look out at the manicured grounds here versus if it was not attended. They say if all the insects and animals on the planet were destroyed, the earth would be destroyed in 5 years. They said if human beings were destroyed, the earth would thrive. Think about that. Our mind may be likened to a garden which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will produce. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall and produce after their kind. But just as a gardener cultivates his plot to keep it free of weeds, in order to keep it growing with flowers and fruits, a person must tend the garden of his or her mind, weeding out all the wrong, useless thoughts, and keep cultivating toward perfection. Keep cultivating the flowers, the fruits of right and useful thoughts. By pursuing this process, a man sooner or later discovers that he is the master gardener of his soul, the director of his life. So, our minds may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. And by pursuing the process of healthy thoughts and cultivating that, we sooner or later discover that we're the master gardener of our soul, the director of our life. I've entitled our lesson today, Giving Up the False for the True. And I want to share with you some tips, some gardening tips. Some tips for cultivating the garden of our minds so that we can reap a rich harvest of blessing. And what I have for you today is a prayer treatment or a prayer process that you can use to overtake your mistakes and your bad habits and wipe out the consequences of those mistakes and bad habits. How would that be? Also, this process will allow you to plant new life-affirming habits, behaviors, thoughts, and habits into your mind in a way such that you begin to increase the rich blessings in your life. The process involves understanding Unity's 3 phases of mind. How many of you remember the 3 phases of mind? Because it's superconscious, conscious, subconscious, right? 3 phases of mind. And unless and they're not 3 different things, it's 3 aspects of our own nature. But unless we understand their operation, we're not going to be able to cultivate the garden of our mind, because there's 3 aspects of mind that we need to work in. So I want to share just briefly about those 3 phases of mind and then talk about how we can, how they operate in terms of cultivating new habits and eliminating bad habits. The superconscious mind is another name for God, for your Christ self. Divine mind. Call it your real self, divine mind, Christ consciousness. You are a part of the allness of God. We all are a part of the allness of God. But Dorothy Pearson always used to describe it as we're like the wave in the ocean. God is the ocean, and we're in the ocean, but we're like a wave in the ocean. We can't be separated from the ocean. We're a part of the ocean, but we're not all of the ocean. So we're like the wave in the ocean. Your superconscious mind is the spiritual you, it's your real you, it's your true identity, and it has all of because it is part of the allness of God, it has all the ideals of God: life, love, substance, wisdom, peace, power, strength, health, truth, all of that is in you in all fullness. It's there all the time. It's always that your superconscious mind is always present within you to heal you, to teach you. It never gets ill. It's never been ill. It doesn't get angry. It's never been angry or tired. It was never born. It's existed from the beginning of time, and it will never die. And it's always in full communion. It's always the wave in the ocean. It's always in full communion or immersed in God. It is your superconscious Christ mind, God self. And the health and harmony of your life depend entirely on the extent to which you take hold of this. You identify yourself with that superconscious mind within you. Your conscious mind, you pretty much know. Think of a pink elephant. Think of a glass of water. Your conscious mind you can direct. It has a faculty of inductive reasoning. It's your common sense. It navigates your life, the externals of your life, using all the senses, the sensory realm. It's not as smart as you think it is. You know, it has very little power of deduction, and it's usually limited to drawing only the most obvious conclusions. It doesn't spend time in the deeper wisdom of spirit, and it can do some simple mental arithmetic, but it's of the three phases of mind, it's the most limited, and yet it's the one that's external to us where we live in the world. The subconscious mind is one that I wish I'd given more power to through my life, or more study to, or more sway to, or worked more cooperatively with. And so when I read this, did my reading this week from Emmett Fox, Living the Spiritual Life or something, one of his books, he was really talking about the subconscious, and that quickened my attention again to the powers of the subconscious mind and caused me to write this to want to share with you. The subconscious mind, as you may remember, is the repository of all your thoughts. It's like a perfect Rolodex, card index, that records every thought that you've ever held, and many which you're not even conscious of. It's recording everything that's going on in this room, and whether you're conscious of it or not, it's recording all of that. Everything that you've heard, that you've seen, all the people you've met, everything you've read, everything is recorded. Can you imagine that? In your subconscious mind. And the analogy that Emmett Fox used is it can actually be compared to, remember those, now coming back, the old long-playing LP record albums? You know, they're coming back now, but they're calling them something else. What are they calling them? Vinyl. Yeah, vinyl. Okay, LP, long-playing records. So your subconscious mind is kind of like that, in that what's on the record isn't obvious, right? You can't see it. It makes no noise, but the tune is there. It's all recorded, and it can be obtained if the right conditions are put into operation. Mr. Fox says the subconscious mind seems to have unlimited strength or power, which is one reason why it's difficult to break a habit, because of the tremendous strength of your subconscious. Most of us try to break a habit with our own conscious mind. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop being impatient. And we make a determination with our conscious mind, which is about 5% of our operational capacity in our life. The subconscious mind is 97% or 95% of the operation in your life. And so the subconscious is always tending to express or reproduce in our lives every idea that's been presented to it. It stores them all, but it seeks to present the most dominant ones. You know, I'm always asked, well, if thought creates, does every thought I think create? No, thank goodness. Right? It's the ones that you hold and you feel and you cultivate in the garden of your mind. So the subconscious mind seems to have unlimited strength and power, and it tends to express or reproduce every idea that's been presented to it. It immediately works out to finality the ultimate logical conclusion of any idea presented to it. So every idea that enters the subconscious mind is accepted as an order to be carried out. You give it marching orders. And at the first possible opportunity, it's going to present that idea to you in concrete form as an accomplished fact in your life. And when you let the universe lead you, the subconscious mind has this unlimited, infinite wisdom to draw and orchestrate things in your life in ways that your conscious mind just can't even conceive. And so it's very exciting in one respect. On the other respect, can you see how important it is to be careful what ideas you allow into your mind, right? If you get hooked on all of those television shows of crime and violence, or you read that stuff, or you're involved in talking or listening to conversations about illness and disease and crime and all of that, your subconscious mind is recording all of that. So you want to be careful what you allow in, because it all gets recorded and will be demonstrated in your life sooner or later if it picks up a dominant thought. As I said, most of us use the conscious mind to push or break a habit, but that strength of the conscious mind is feeble compared to the subconscious mind. So, how do we change a habit? How do we change a habit? And the answer is, that I was so excited to remember, is only the superconscious mind, the Christ mind, can wipe out something that's recorded in your subconscious. Now, I thought once it was in there, it's in there forever. But almost like we said in the hymn that Claudia chose for the meditation, sweep over my soul, sweep in love and peace, sweep out hate and fear, sweep in grace and joy. We have dominion of our mind, and we can open to the superconscious mind to cleanse the subconscious mind of things that we remember that are harmful for us or not life-affirming. And we can ask it to cleanse those things that we're not even conscious of, that aren't for the highest and best of our life, So, we'll never be the master gardeners of our soul or the directors of our life until we understand these three phases of mind. But this morning we're going to put the conscious mind on hold, on rest, and we're going to work with the superconscious and the subconscious. And it's only the superconscious that can wipe out the stored memory in the subconscious, that can wipe out the recorded behavior in the subconscious mind, can dissolve it, absolve it, withdraw it, whatever, so that you're free. And if you've overcome a habit, when it's just not in you anymore, right? I remember when my husband quit smoking, and it was he just quit cold turkey, and about 3 years later, he said, it's not even in me to smoke anymore. It's just not in me. I'm not a smoker. I don't enjoy the holding the cigarette, and the smell of the smoke, and the relaxation, and all the things that were pleasant about smoking for him just weren't a part of him anymore. And that's the power of your mind to transform your life. Now, Jesus gave us a process for wiping out what's stored, for working with the superconscious to wipe out what's stored in the subconscious. And he stressed over and over it was the need for forgiveness. Giving up. Forgiving is giving up. When Peter asked him, how many times should I forgive? Up to 7 times? And he said, no, 70 times 7. And I've always taken that as the discipline required to cultivate consciousness, that forgiving consciousness that washes out or cleanses out life-negating habits and then allows life-affirming habits to be replanted in our minds. So I want to walk us through the 70 times 7 today with this idea of cleansing our subconscious, with the superconscious, cleansing the subconscious. So the first 70 times 7 you forgive something. How many? That's a lot, right? If you're giving up something, if you're forgiving the first 70 times, you're taking and making a deliberate step. You're making a decision. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to give this up. I'm going to forgive this, give this up in my life. And you begin to give up the thought that you can be victimized or controlled by it, or that you lack something, or that you're not good enough to succeed at it, or that you're unworthy, or you should have done better, or you should be able to do it better, or you should be able to let this go. You begin to let go. You make a decision to change the habit, and you begin to let go of all the excuses and the reasons why you forgive that. You start giving that up. The second 70 times 7, you begin implanting divine ideas of the superconscious mind I see them as a funnel coming into your subconscious mind. So let's take the example that you want to get up 30 minutes earlier because you want to establish a better habit of exercising in your life. You want to get up 30 minutes earlier either to go to the gym or go for a walk or something that brings more health to your life. So you would begin then to plant ideas of health and life and strength and vitality in your prayer time. I am life, I am strength, I am health, I am vitality. And that begins then to flow into the subconscious mind. As I understand this operation, it begins to flow into the subconscious mind and purge out the opposite, anything that isn't health and life and strength and vitality. You might add in motivation, inspiration, those ideas. This is giving up the false for the true. You're giving up the negative, affirming, life-negating ideas and replacing them. The secret of this type of what's called scientific prayer is to stop thinking about the bad habit and think about God instead. Stop thinking about sleeping in, not working out, not getting the exercise and the health of your body, and start thinking about the God and the powers of God and the strength of God and the health of God. An important part of redeeming and re-educating the subconscious is in getting away from the thought of the condition and getting immersed in God. So you stop thinking about, I'm so out of shape and can't go up the stairs without getting winded, and I just don't have the muscle tone I use. Get out of all of that and get into health and life and strength. Stop brooding over your troubles and think of your true self instead. I am spirit. I am divine. I am the Christ of God. Not, the last time I started an exercise routine, I injured myself. Took me weeks to get over that injury. In fact, I still that leg never really has straightened out the way I thought it should. I go to that gym and I look at those people and they're jumping and they're running and they're lifting and it's just, I'm exhausted just watching them. Can't even, You don't want to get into that conversation, right? I am spirit, divine spirit, health and whole, capable in every way. That's giving a new pattern to your subconscious mind, and the trouble will begin to minimize or disappear, and you'll stand up a little straighter, you'll have your shoulders back, you'll have your head up. You may be working with a lifelong habit that causes you to keep your mind in a strong desire toward unpleasant things and to even rehearse them over and over. But this has to be overcome. You can't go to the side that says, I can't do this. I always think about people that start exercise routines where they walk, a few steps the first day when they start, just a few steps. And then you keep going and you build on that. The third 70 times 7, there begins to be an expansion in your heart because you're allowing the superconscious mind of Christ, you're inviting it into you in a fuller and greater measure. And so your heart begins to expand and this new pattern starts to take hold. In prayer, the superconscious mind gives our subconscious mind a pattern of love to follow, while our conscious mind is doing its thing, getting up, going to work, doing whatever. Emmett Fox says in his book, he gives a great example. He says, just as a building is the embodiment of certain drawings, specifications, and blueprints in the office of the architect, So your life is the expression of your subconscious blueprint. You have a blueprint for your life. Before the building is constructed, the architect prepares precise drawings of exactly what he wants produced. These drawings are I just have to figure all this out. Oh, I'm going this way. These drawings are then handed over to the builder, and the builder carries out the plans. The architect does not put into the blueprint anything he does not want in the finished building, nor does he expect to find in the building anything which he has omitted to put into the drawings, right? After the building is finished, a complete set of drawings is always retained in the archives should it be necessary to rebuild or repair any part of the finished building. This forms a perfect analogy of our lives, of your body. There's a blueprint for your body. There's a blueprint for your life. There's a blueprint for your prosperity. There's a blueprint for your health. There's a blueprint. Your blueprint is the pattern you hold in your subconscious mind. So of everything that's stored in there, we've kind of chosen out and picked out different things and formed a model, and we say, and our subconscious mind says, okay, I'm making that for your life. I'm making that for your life. If you're dissatisfied, he goes on, with some condition of your life, the thing to do is change your blueprint. The subconscious mind is your obedient servant who will not fail to build according to the pattern you provide. It will use no discretion any more than a foreman builder would dare to depart from the blueprint provided by the architect. So I love that analogy because the God self of you is the architect. The superconscious mind in you is the architect, and it can give patterns of wholeness and life and health, patterns of motivation and inspiration, patterns of vitality and energy to work out more often, in our example of getting up 30 minutes earlier. It can do all of that. It's for you to choose whether you have health or sickness in your body. It's for you to choose whether you have beauty or ugliness in your life. It's for you to choose whether you have happiness or misery in accordance with the kind of pattern that you're presenting to your faithful master builder, your master gardener that's cultivating the garden of your life. So in that third 70 times 7, we start to substitute a perfect model for an imperfect one. Start routing out, I think, remember in the old days those Rolodexes that would spin around on a thing? Well, anyway, a card file. Think of a card. We're going to go in there and we're going to pull out the card files that aren't anything that we use anymore, and we're going to plant new cards in our Rolodex, our master plan. The fourth 70 times 7 of forgiving is to give up the need to control and to trust. Remember that the conscious mind thinks that it knows what's best, but that's directing your life with 5% of all that's available to you. 97% of your life is carried out by your subconscious mind, which, remember, immediately works to finality, the ultimate logical conclusion of any idea you give it. So it's masterful and miraculous in how it brings things into your life, where you live with that adventure and surprise. So leave the question of the ways and the means to the divine patterning and give up or forgive the need to control. The fifth 70 times 7, you tap the divine problem solver, which is the superconscious mind. And as you let go, you see that there is an infinite intelligence guiding your life. The sixth 70 times 7, I love, it's memory loss. What? That's not early Alzheimer's. Memory loss is the superconscious mind will either eliminate the faulty pattern or rewrite it. Right? So you're sending in all of that powerful into your subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind is either going to dissolve it out of you completely or rewrite it, redesign it into a pattern of perfection for you. But once the stored memory is changed, you can't remember it any longer. It's out of you forever. It's gone. The 70th time, you become so established in the new pattern that not only is the old pattern gone, but that habit and the consequences of that habit can no longer touch your life. No evil can any longer come near your dwelling tent. So you're safe and you're protected and you're free. You're free. So many of us have had bad habits that we've failed with because we've tried to use our conscious mind. Our conscious mind. And you've read the books that say just before you drift off to sleep, give your subconscious mind an idea to feed on. But it's your superconscious Christ mind that's giving and directing that subconscious mind. I want to close today with a prayer treatment that we can use to have the superconscious program the subconscious. It's an excellent way, and you'll find that when you apply it, at first you'll feel that the habit goes out of you, and then secondly, the desire for the habit goes out of you, and then lastly, the consequences of the habit go out of you. So the desire to be lazy about your workout routine will go out of you. The desire to make excuses will go out of you. And the consequences of flabby, breathless existence will change, right? Okay, so we're all firming up. Here we go. Here's the prayer treatment. You get by yourself for at least 15 minutes. 30 would be better so you don't have to feel rushed. And to read the Bible or some devotional material that's important to you until you feel you've gotten away from the distractions of the day, the daily hubbub that's going on, and you feel the presence of God at least a little bit. When you've been reading and you can just stop for a moment because you feel you're moving into a different place in consciousness. It's the first thing. And then don't feel anxious about that. Just close the book, and be quiet for a moment. And then you affirm, I am divine spirit, or I am the Christ of God. I am divine spirit. And this is your superconscious mind now. And you say, I have dominion in the name and the nature of the Christ. You have dominion of your life. You have dominion of the thoughts in your mind. And then you say, I know there's lots of conversation about saying I am versus I want, but you want to tell your subconscious what you want. I want to wake up 30 minutes earlier, ready and excited to exercise. Or I want a new job. I want a place to volunteer. I want the right home. I want the necessary money. You tell your subconscious mind what you want it to produce for you. Then you say, I know divine wisdom will send this good in some way. And I can't emphasize to you enough how exciting it is. All the ways that the subconscious mind can get this good thing to you or reestablish this new habit in you. And you close by saying, I am the fulfillment of this ideal now. You can pray it once or twice a day. It's good to pray it before going off to sleep. If this habit keeps coming up, just give thanks that it's being cleansed and purged out of your consciousness now. Thanksgiving is an active ingredient. Puts your prayers on steroids. This doesn't require a lot of faith to make this habit, to change this habit. If you have enough faith to pray the prayer, you have enough faith. So let's walk through it here just very quickly. Call to mind something in your life that you would like to, a habit that you would like to see changed. And we'll just take a minute now to feel Charles Fillmore's invocation. I am now in the presence of pure being. And let yourself feel immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. Get that feeling even just a little bit. Claudia opened with, surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Charles Fillmore, I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And then we say, I am divine spirit. Together, I am divine spirit. I have dominion in the name and the nature of the Christ. Together. I have dominion in the name and the nature of the Christ. And then in the silence, you declare, I want, and you state what you want, what habit you want to change. And then we say, I know that divine wisdom will send this in some good way. Together. I know that divine wisdom will send this in some good way. Smile. I am the fulfillment of this ideal now. I am the fulfillment of this ideal now. And so it is. Amen. Now you've taken the first step toward the superconscious mind, the Christ mind in you, beginning to move through that forgiveness, that giving up of this habit so that a new one can be in its place. And I'll expect to hear great reports next week of all your homework assignments. And that's it for today. God bless you and have a wonderful week.